Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo, your cravings coach. And today I have an episode that I think is really important for us to discuss and have a conversation around, mostly because I think that a lot of us come to this point in our health journeys and our fat loss journeys where we're so involved in our process, our nutrition protocol, or routine, that it's hard for us to maybe observe things that are working, that aren't working, maybe feeling stuck and not knowing which direction to go, or just ignoring red flags in general. And so today I want to talk about 3 red flags to look out for that could be signaling that your nutrition program isn't working for you. And when I talk about nutrition protocol or program, I'm referring to anything that could be anything from like a fad diet, like Whole30, Arbonne, Octavia, to something quote unquote less formal, maybe like you're just going low carb or low fat or trying intermittent fasting. And like I said before, I think that many of us who have dieted or been surrounded by diet culture, we've kind of accepted some of these facets of our diet or our mindset around how we relate to food or our bodies and our relationship to food as a whole as totally normal. Because maybe we've done it for so long, or possibly it's because how the people around us are doing things, or you just couldn't even fathom or wrap your mind around doing things in any other way than what you're doing right now, right? To lose weight or, to pursue some sort of health goal or aesthetic goal or fitness goal. And I know that this happened to me where I was stuck in the cycle. I could not see clearly through the fog of shame, through the fog of guilt, and honestly, the desperation to be thin. Like those 3 things were really clouding my judgment so much that I was just on autopilot. And, the more, thankfully, the more I got educated and learned and started creating satisful nutrition strategies and approach and trying it out on myself and focusing on cravings control, a lot of things came to light that really surprised me in hindsight, looking back. And after working with so many women who have made the transition and transformation themselves from a life of yo-yo dieting to a place of more satisful nutrition and lasting cravings control, I can see now that there were some definite red flags early on that I ignored or didn't know to even look for. So today I want to share 3 of them with you in hopes to just shed some light on ways that maybe you're doing things that could be holding you back from your forward progress. So the first red flag, I want you to just kind of drop a little pin in your brain, just throw it in there. This is going to be around your mindset. All right. Your approach, your perception, your vibe, your aura, your energy that you bring to your goals, to your fat loss goals, to your cravings journey, to your health goals. And something to look out for is if you're constantly feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling nervous, thoughts around food and calories and choosing different things consumes your day, consumes your mind. And as a result, you tend to have negative emotions surrounding it, right? Like you tend to feel guilt if you don't eat perfectly or what you wanted to. Maybe you feel anxious, like making the right decision, maybe being at a restaurant or ordering off of a menu, like it just gives you so much anxiety. Like you look at the menu ahead of time, like you're trying to control every single aspect of that meal. You're like refraining from ordering things because like you're just like, well, that's not allowed on what I'm doing. And you're just kind of like feeling these negative emotions that are impacting your day, right? And as a result, because of your mindset around food and diet and nutrition and your day to day, a lot of your brain space is taken up by making food decisions and making food choices and trying to quote unquote get it right. And this is something that I didn't realize how much time of my day I was spending on thinking and worrying and planning and trying to control everything I was eating, right? The moment I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I hope that I don't have too much creamer in my coffee. Like, I hope that I can just like be okay with having my 2 tablespoons of creamer. And then I would have breakfast and be like, well, I hope that these blueberries are enough in terms of carbs, right? Because I don't want to have bread and I don't want to have toast and I don't want to have crackers. And then I'd be like, well, what am I having for lunch? And I would not have even had breakfast yet. And then all day I would be worried about the cravings that I would have at night, maybe if I would binge, or what I had in the house that I could potentially overeat, or if I needed to like go get something so that I could have something if I wanted some chocolate, or I wanted to like allow myself to have more food that night. And so it was just a constant rumination of food ideas and thoughts and a lot of negative emotions around it. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so excited to nourish my body in these healthy ways. And I'm so excited to have just like a regular relationship with food. Like it was not like that. You know, it's not like how it is now with Satisful Nutrition, where it's very flexible, it's very flowy, it's aligned with, you know, my lifestyle, and it adds to my life. It makes me feel more free. It feels very aligned with my mindset and my how I want my life to unfold, right? So it's really important to understand that when we bring these negative emotions, these negative feelings, the stress, the anxiety, the desperation, the regret, the shame to our nutrition protocol, that it's going to be harder for us to have success. And one of the reasons is because these negative emotions can hold us back from making progress, right? So when you feel like ashamed or guilty for how you eat, oftentimes we self-sabotage, right? Not all the time, but we're like, oh, well, fuck. Like I had a muffin for breakfast, or I had 2 bites of a muffin. So like the whole day is over. So I might as well just let myself go, right? Or like, oh, I had a happy hour on Friday. I feel hungover on Saturday. Like there's no use in me even trying to like eat healthy and exercise this weekend. Like I'll just start back on Monday and I won't worry about the weekend. And that shame and guilt does not propel you forward and allow you to move forward with flexibility. But what does, and studies show that when you lead with compassion, people who have a weight loss goal tend to have better results because they're understanding, they're empathetic, they're compassionate, they bring grace to the process, and they realize like, life's going to happen. I'm not going to be quote unquote perfect all the time. So let me just not be stressed about every single bite. Let me do the best I can at this meal. And let me lead with more compassion and more grace. And I'll just do better at the next meal. It's this compassion and grace and these emotions that are sort of on the opposite spectrum of stress and anxious and nervous and regretful and shameful and guilty. It's these emotions that allow you to actually move forward and actually have more success. And like I said, studies show that. Lead with compassion. And so this is something that I ignored for a long time, or I actually wasn't even aware of how obsessive I was about food and how anxious and stressed and how much space food took up on my brain. I really didn't realize that until 4, 5, 6 years in. And I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. Fucking exhausted thinking about food all the fucking time, figuring out what my diet's going to be. I just want to live my fucking life. And so if you can kind of relate to what I'm talking about around mindset and like the constant anxiety and stress and the worry and the rumination over like what you're going to fucking have for lunch and like the treat that you had or the snack that you had, and now you're obsessing about it. If you find yourself in sort of that state, it could be a red flag that it's time to try a different approach and adopt a different way, bringing a new mindset perspective to your nutrition, to how you're eating, and giving your space that and grace and that flexibility to allow yourself a little bit more compassion and empathy in your process. If you're a busy woman who has struggled with constant cravings, intense overeating, and insatiable hunger, and you want to finally get a handle on your diet without gimmicks, fads, or eliminating, then I want to invite you to my signature program, the Cravings Code, which starts on Monday, September 25th. Enrollment for the Cravings Code opens on Wednesday, September 20th at 9 a.m. Eastern. During the 6 weeks of the Cravings Code, you can expect up to a 70% decrease in your cravings and overeating while adopting a more gracious, compassionate, and flexible way of eating that will prime your mindset and your metabolism to eventually eat fewer calories and sustainably lose weight if that's one of your goals. The Cravings Code will deliver one-on-one, high-touch coaching with me while connecting you to a community of other like-minded women in a small pod format. You will learn the Code 6 curriculum, the same strategies that have helped my clients drastically lower cravings, finally stop fearing food, and stressing with every single bite. Follow the link below to add your name to our free email list and be one of the first people notified when the cart opens for enrollment on Wednesday, September 20th at 9 a.m. Eastern. The last day to join is Monday, September 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So the second red flag, this is directly related to the foods that you're eating. Okay, so first we kind of addressed mindset. Now we're addressing the foods that you're eating. And something that I want you to consider is if you have a nutrition protocol that is asking you to eat in a way that you are not going to be able to continue for your whole life, or you do not want to continue for your whole life, then that is a red flag, right? Not something that you can sustain for your whole life, right? Like if we really wanted to, we could probably not eat fruit for the rest of our lives if we really, really wanted to. But if you are not someone that like wants to take out fruit for the rest of their life, or doesn't want to like give up breads and cookies and chips and crackers, or you don't want to just have a shake for breakfast and dinner for the rest of your life, then the nutrition protocol that you're using to help control cravings or to help you with your fat loss goals may not be successful long-term for you. Okay. And it could be a red flag that your nutrition program isn't working. So ideally, when we are moving towards a state of fat loss or cravings control, we want to be eating the same way during that fat loss phase or cravings control phase that we would normally eat in our day-to-day lives, right? We don't want to necessarily start eliminating, restricting, fad dieting, low carbing, low fatting, intermittent fasting if that is not how you plan to live out the rest of your days. And the reason for that is, I mean, it's like tenfold, right? Not tenfold. It's like there's multiple reasons, right? Like you're a human being. You're not just like someone that's made to lose weight. Like you also need to enjoy the foods you're eating. Secondly, like you're going to have an easier time with fat loss and weight maintenance when you are eating foods that you would normally eat, right? Because, and you might be able to like relate to this, is like, if you've ever done a diet where you've had to take out like carbs, or you've had to take out protein, or you've had to take out a certain food only to reintroduce it later, it was probably much harder for you to maintain the weight. You may have even gained the weight back when you started reintroducing these foods, right? So if you're in a nutrition protocol that is asking you to eat in a way and include or exclude foods that you really don't want to include or exclude, or you don't see yourself doing for the rest of your life, that could be a red flag that this nutrition program is not right for you. And so I want to encourage you to lean into a nutritional lifestyle that aligns with your food preferences, your cultural preferences, your access to food, and, even some of like your social engagements and things that you like to do. If you travel a lot, if you eat out often, if you like to cook with your kids, if you don't like to cook, like your nutritional protocol should align with the types of foods that you enjoy, and it should not force you into eating in any way that you don't like. And so that's number 2 red flag, is nutrition protocols that are asking you to take out foods that you're going to start bringing back in after the diet or after the protocol, or asking you to restrict or eat in a way that just does not feel aligned with how you're going to do things long term. Okay. So lastly, the third red flag with your nutrition program and the protocol that you implement is the application of this program. Okay. Now it kind of crosses over a little bit with number 2. Like number 2, we really talked about like the foods. Number 3, we're talking about the application, the method through which you will achieve these results, right? And I talk about this often with my clients, is you should not feel like you are forcing yourself into a diet plan. It should feel like your diet plan ebbs and flows into your lifestyle and fits within your lifestyle. Not that you are trying to force shape yourself into a diet plan. And when we talk about application, we talk about how we're delivering this method of fat loss, or this method of eating, right? This application of how we're eating. So when I talk about application, I'm talking about like maybe you're trying to count calories, or maybe you're trying to do intermittent fasting, or maybe you're doing shakes for breakfast and dinner, or maybe you're eating one meal a day. Like that's the application part of it, right? It's how you're delivering this nutrition protocol. And again, it has to fit with your lifestyle, because once this program is over, once this diet is over, you're just going to go back to doing things that are aligned with your lifestyle. You're going to continue traveling. You're going to continue eating out. You're going to continue possibly not cooking if that's who you are and what you like to do. So to do something for 30 days or 45 days or 60 days or 90 days that doesn't necessarily align in terms of is incongruent with how your lifestyle plays out, it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to maintain that for the long term. And I see this a lot. I have a lot of social moms, social parents, social career women, and they're talking to me about tracking macros and intermittent fasting and keto and Octavia and trying to do these diets when they're traveling over the summer, or when they have busy time periods at work, or when they're home with the kids and the kids are getting sick, and they're like, well, I can't like meal prep all this keto shit, or I can't, get these special foods delivered. Like we're trying to save money. And so it feels very disjointed. It feels very misaligned. And that can be a red flag for a nutrition protocol that may not stick around long term and may not work long term. And so remember, when you are choosing a nutritional protocol, it has to fit with your lifestyle. It has to align with things that you like to do in your life. If you're super social, or if you travel, or if you have kids at home, or you have a very demanding life schedule or home demands, your nutrition protocol should ebb and flow with those things. It should not feel like the other way around. That is how you're going to be the most successful. And, I could count on probably all my hands and my toes how many diets I did that did not fit with my lifestyle. I liked to go out. I liked to have fun. I did not like to count or track macros. I did not like intermittent fasting. I like to have my coffee in the morning. And so for years, it was kind of like I was just bashing my head against the wall, trying any diet that came my way, just hoping that that would be the one that would that would be it. That would be the one that would help me lean out and get strong and be shredded and be thin. And none of them worked. None of them worked. They weren't aligned with me individually, and I just couldn't make them my own, right? It was like I was forcing myself into this, whatever it was, like intermittent fasting time frame, or I was forcing myself into this calorie amount that I had to eat, or was forcing myself into this paleo diet program that I bought a book for, right? And I was just like, this isn't like who I am. And so I wanted to just bring some of these things to light for you. And, I think that it's in some way, we all know, like in our gut, a lot of us already know that like, this isn't working, but we're so desperate for results that we just keep trying, right? And we're like, well, this worked for my friend, or this works for everyone else. Or like, I've heard that women have really good results on this. And, some people do, but the percentage is very small. And what we see with like fat diets and some of these more like restrictive extreme protocols is women get results in the short term, right? But in the long term, the results don't stick. And we want your results to stick long term, right? We want you to be able to get to a place of cravings control, weight maintenance, or even fat loss and stay there, right? And stay there and feel good and live your friggin' life. So today we talked about a few red flags that you should look out for within your nutrition program to kind of signal that it's not working for you. The first was your mindset, your perception, how you feel going through this nutrition protocol, right? Is it eliciting negative feelings, anxiety, stress, regret, shame, guilt? Or are you free flowing? Are you ebbing? Are you happy? Are you aligned? Do you feel a sense of food freedom, right? And we want the latter. The second red flag is to understand or realize, like, are the foods that you are eliminating or restricting or allowing, is this how you will eat and want to eat for the rest of your life? And if it's not, then that's a red flag that program is probably not going to work for you. The third red flag, we talked about the application, how these nutrition protocols all are delivered. Is it aligned with your lifestyle? Does it allow you the flexibility that you might need? Does it allow you the structure that you might need? Will it help you be successful in the long term? And the point of this is we don't want you to feel stressed. We don't want you to feel anxious. We want you to feel a sense of ease and effortlessness within your nutrition protocol. We want you to feel in control while allowing the foods in your diet that you enjoy. We want you to feel confident applying this nutrition protocol to your lifestyle, right? We want you to feel like this sense of confidence with choosing the foods you love, being flexible if you need to go out, not stressing if, you ate something that maybe wasn't the most nutrient focused. We want a flow. We want an ease. We want you to move through this nutrition protocol and apply whatever nutrition protocol you use in a way that's going to align and support your lifestyle and your habits. I hope that this episode was helpful. I know I had a lot to say on it, and it's a nuanced conversation, so I know it's a little bit more advanced, but, I wish that I had someone that shared this with me when I was in the thick of my fad dieting, my constant cravings, my stress eating. And I just wish that I could have taken a step back and seen things a bit more on a macro scale. And so I hope that this sheds some light on maybe some red flags that you need to look out for in your current nutrition protocol or in the future. And if you have any questions on this topic at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I love hearing from you guys in the DMs. Go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram, and I will talk to you ladies soon. Bye.